Hello, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. Mine was so fabulous. I got to go to these things called the flower fields down in Carlsbad. So if you're ever down in Carlsbad, go check it out. It was amazing. As far as the eye could see, all these beautiful flowers. If you love nature, definitely the place to go. But I'm even more excited because today, oh my goodness, I've got an amazing guest for you guys. Her name's Vanessa Raymond. And how can I put this? She's a powerhouse in this tiny, beautiful little body and such a kind hearted spirit. I mean, those are only two of her wonderful traits, but let's bring her on and get to know her better. Hello, Vanessa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Julie. Thank you. Thanks for that beautiful introduction.
I'm so glad to have you here today. Fortunately, you and I have actually had the opportunity to meet in person. So I do know you a little bit, but I've been really looking forward to this conversation because we get to talk about you and how you help people and what you do and just pick your brain. So without further ado, I would love for you to start out with telling us a little bit about yourself and your own wellness journey.
Sure, Julianne. So you might detect an accent as we go along. I am originally from beautiful South Africa, sunny South Africa, but I have been living in the United States for almost 22 years. So my accent has gone away a little bit. Got a little bit halfway South African, halfway American. But I've been loving living here. And as far as my journey, I started out in South Africa at a very young age. My mom put me in ballet lessons. So my love for dance started at a very young age. And I proceeded to go through my school years, taking every single dance class that I could. I played the piano. I was the real nerd. I was a singer, singing in the school choir, playing in the school band. So that was really a passion of mine and a dream of mine to be a performer one day, which seemed a little bit far-fetched as to where I was from. That wasn't really what people did for a living. So growing up, I heard often, oh, no. So, when people ask you, what are you going to do when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, oh, I'm going to be a dancer. I'm going to be a performer. I'm going to be on stage. And they'd be like, no. What you really going to do? Like, money, right? To earn money. So, so I've always had a lot of interests. I also grew up in the gym. My dad was a bodybuilder. And so I've always been into fitness and health. And I've also loved the world of beauty. So I ended up going to college and getting my musical theater degree. But I also got my degree in beauty technology, as we call it in South Africa. And then, so through my journey, I performed for many, many years. I had my own beauty business on the side. And then when my body said no more, and I really, really wanted to lay roots in the ground, I decided to start my own fitness business. I was already a certified Pilates instructor, and I went on to get all the other certificates and really had a passion for helping clients in the gym. However, that is also where I found out that it can be really tough to be an entrepreneur and grow your own business, which led me to my other job right now. It's my other passion is also Achieve Systems, which is the business I run with my husband. I met him in 2008 looking for help with my health and wellness, my fitness business. And, we're talking about wellness. And I was going through a really, really tough time back then when I met him. And we can probably go into that a little bit later. But basically, that is where I really, really figured out that I do have a passion for entrepreneurship and, helping people in life and in business. And with all my history in the performance industry, where, you go from audition to audition, you learn to deal with rejection on many, many levels. And also my world in the beauty world, and then also stepping into the Pilates studio and helping clients is really where I had a few aha moments as to how important self-image and self-confidence is. And I've proceeded to just fast forward, long story short, really, really now have a passion helping entrepreneurs, speakers, and leaders step into their power so that they can grow the businesses they desire and the lives they desire.
That's amazing. And, I love that there's been the same sort of through line. It's always been people and, affecting people's lives, whether it be through entertainment, health
Yes.
and wellness, growing confidence, which to me, that is a part of wellness. Being confident in your own skin, being confident in what you do. All of these things are so important. And, you know, I just think that the world's kind of a little bit backwards in the way it thinks that, sometimes if you're helping somebody else that you shouldn't be paid financially for that. I think that's a little backwards.
Yeah, we run into that a lot. And as you know, that is why we do and achieve what we do, because many, many years ago, my husband, Robert, he really, really noticed, especially in the fitness industry,
Yeah.
but it's now grown into all areas of the wellness industry, that we are, as my coach says, the bleeding hearts of society. And we just want to help, right? So we will literally almost sell our souls to be able to help other people. And I think a lot of the time, us not earning what we deserve is self-inflicted.
Yes.
And therefore, it is very important for us to learn that, yeah, having that confidence in yourself and your own ability and knowing the value of what you're offering is key.
I'm really glad that you said that, because I think too, especially with entrepreneurs and especially in health and wellness, uh, we tend to, when you start to know something about that particular topic, it feels like everybody knows that because you know it. Don't even really realize how valuable you are and what your knowledge is and what it's worth. So I like that you share, you help people see that in themselves.
Yes, well, coming back to my story that I was talking about when I met Robert, I was really in a low point of my life, probably the lowest point that I can remember. I was going through divorce. I had just started a new business. I was doing that. I was, you just want to help people. So if they can't afford your services, you discount it, you basically almost give it away. So I was struggling to make ends meet. I was living in a friend's house. I was really exhausted and I was overwhelmed and I was burnt out. And Robert, I remember we were sitting at a bar in Las Vegas, having our initial meeting. And he just looked at me and said, "Girl, you are being a doormat for everyone you come across." Because coincidentally, I also had a business partner at the time who I felt I owed the world because she took me in. I was living with her.
Mm.
And, I was just like, and she had a newborn baby. So between helping her with the baby and the business, I was really overextending myself and not really, I was just giving her all the money too. So, it was a tough, tough lesson to learn. But when he said that to me, the most startling thing to me was it was like a punch in the stomach because I hadn't realized how much I was just disregarding myself,
Mm.
my own self, my own health, my own wellness, and my own confidence. And I was just really putting myself in that degrading space and not standing my ground and standing up for myself. And that was the most startling because I hadn't realized that I'd been doing that.
I kind of feel too that sometimes it doesn't happen all at once. It's kind of a gradual thing. So we don't notice how much we start neglecting ourselves, how much we start putting other people first, how much we start, just not taking care of ourselves any longer. We get used to being tired. We get used to having without, or going without, I should say. So I can understand how easy it is to happen. But I have to say, in the short amount of time that I've known you, you just have this way of just being around you. It just feels lighter and happier. And it's an amazing gift. So,
You are sweet, Julianne. I have always said, despite we all have hard times.
mhm.
I have had a charmed life, and I always have had a knack for seeing the silver lining looking on the bright side of things. I think it's a skill. I think it's a skill, and everyone can learn it. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do.
I love that. It is a skill. It is totally a skill because you have to practice what you're going to focus on. And if you can start controlling your mind a little bit, wow, your whole life will change.
You're talking my language. People always say differentiate yourself. What
Mhm.
you do. People ask me, how are you different from other confidence coaches? Because of my physical background, I actually start from the outside in. I do the mindset work, but I teach you how your body
Mhm.
affects your mind. It is a powerful, powerful tool.
It's true too. I mean, if you think about times where if you're not feeling, I don't know, happy and you need a little pick me up, people say clean your space up or brighten, straighten something if you feel confused, all these things. So I like the idea. It doesn't have to be always from the inside out. It can be the other way. It works both ways. So that is definitely different. I love it though. And it's a different approach.
It is. And the science to back it is actually pretty interesting because when I started teaching this, may I share a story?
Absolutely.
The light bulb moment came for me. This was many, many years ago before I knew what I know now. I was in the Pilates studio. I was still performing, but I was teaching Pilates part time at a physical therapy clinic in Las Vegas. And I was sitting at the front desk, and this woman walked in. She was very young. She was about 22, 23 years old, but I couldn't see her face. She was hunched over. She had bangs covering her face. You could tell she was hiding, really. And she walked up to the front desk and in a very timid voice, she was like, I would love to do some Pilates. I said, well, I have an opening tomorrow. If you come in tomorrow, we can get you started. She came in the next day. I sat her down for her initial consultation, just like I do with every client. And we started talking. I found out she had a tumor in her neck removed. So when she pulled her hair back, she had no flesh on the side of her neck.
Mm.
So of course, I could immediately tell why her posture was the way it was, and she was just trying to hide this because she's so self-conscious
Mhm.
of what's going on in her neck, right? Didn't give it another thought, started working with her like I do with all my clients. She came very frequently, twice a week. I saw her every day instinctively. Just it just seemed right. After I had her work out, I get her up in front of the mirror and I have her stand up tall, look in the mirror, smile, and I tell her how beautiful she looks with her hair behind her ears and out of her face. Every time she came in, we would do that at the end of every session. 10 weeks into her package, she came she came prancing into the studio. I literally almost didn't recognize her. She had cut her hair completely short.
Oh, wow.
And she had this beautiful smile on her face, like a different person. And behind her was a gentleman. And as she came prancing straight towards me, he came right in for the hug. And, this was before COVID, just hug. And he pushed me back, held me by the shoulders, and said, you must be Vanessa. I had to come and meet you. I said, oh,
Mm.
yeah. Turns out that was her husband. And he looked me in the eye and he said, I just wanted to meet you because you changed Rebecca's life.
Mm.
And I had no idea what had just happened.
Mhm.
It made me emotional. It still does when I think about it. But I went home and I was like, what happened here? I didn't quite get it back then, but that was the moment when the victory factor was born because I realized how important the way we carry ourselves is to our mental emotional state because
Mhm.
that's ultimately what I did my whole life. Those auditions that were tough, those times that I was turned down, oh, I have interesting stories about that. the things that was said to me, I mean, sometimes in that industry, people can be so callous and they just say things without even thinking twice. And I realized the only way I stayed in the game was by literally always just showing up as the very best version of myself, regardless of how I feel. And fast forward many, many years, now I know how that works. I've learned about power postures and about how that affects the hormones in our brain.
It does.
How by the way we move, you all know about, you've probably heard about the runner's high when they talk about how the endorphins gets released in your body. Well, your smile and your posture and your body language works the same way. You can actually affect the testosterone and the cortisol levels in your body just by simply changing the way you stand. I always explain it like this: just like our emotions affect the way we show up, our body language, our posture, just like that, our posture and body language can change the way we feel.
And it seems so simple. It's almost like you don't know because it's too easy.
I always say to people, look, you're going to think I'm being really like rudimentary here. And it is that simple. And when you grasp that, and when you realize that, that in itself is a huge confidence builder, because suddenly you realize how much control you actually have over not only how you feel. I mean, it depends what the levels are of that, but also how other people's perception of you. Sometimes you can create a perception even if you're not really in the moment feeling it 100%. However, if you show up in that way, it inevitably starts changing how you feel because of the feedback you get from other people.
Exactly. It's kind of that, well, not kind of, it's that exchange of energy. And I love that idea of, well, it's not just an idea, but what you put out, you get back.
Right. That's exactly what it is. I always talk about initiating the energy in the room. We actually have the power to decide how we're going to affect the people around us. We have the choice. And it doesn't always have to be, oh, I'm going to be the center of attention, or I'm going to, it doesn't have to be like that. It can just be the pure intention to bring positivity, joy, lightness to the situation, to the room. We're all three-dimensional beings. We all experience the whole range of emotions. But I also say, there's a time and place for everything. And once we realize that, and we realize that we do have the power to choose and show up in the way that we choose, it's so empowering.
Something else too and that is true, it is empowering. And it took me a long time to realize that we really do get to choose. But it's kind of like, if you get upset about something that never even happens, how can you say that made you upset? You chose that. You chose to be upset for no reason.
Right. We play things in our minds. So our minds are, we know, super powerful, right?
They are.
The thing with the mind is, like you said a little bit ago, the focus that you choose is really going to affect how you feel. It's up to you to choose the focus that is uplifting and that's not going to pull you down. We have a tendency to, when we are worrying about something, we actually overplay it in our minds, and we create scenarios in our mind before they've even happened, and they might never even happen. So why create that anxiety, that stress, when you don't really know what's to come? But if you stick on the side of the positive and the hopeful, you're reducing the amount of stress and anxiety that you're experiencing before the event. And hey, if it turns out not so great, at least you didn't spend all that time wasting your energy on the stress. It's not going to help.
No, it doesn't. And as you're fully aware too, you can't prepare for anything that's going to happen anyway. It happens in the moment. So even if you think you're ready and you think that this worrying or this stress is going to somehow mitigate the actual experience of it, it doesn't. It just it prolongs that experience.
It does. It does. And look, we do everything we can to be prepared, to feel prepared,
Mhm.
to know our stuff. That's what I always say to my clients. If you know your stuff, we
Yeah.
mostly do, right? Then all you can do is show up and be your best and
Mhm.
do your best. And we all have to then look at those times that we feel maybe things didn't turn out the way we wanted, or it wasn't optimal for us, as a learning experience. Every time we learn, confidence is a muscle. We have to exercise it just like we do our muscles. We have to practice it. We have to build it through making mistakes and learning through those mistakes. And every time you make that mistake, if you can look at that as a growth experience as opposed
Mhm.
to a failure, that also changes the whole connotation of the experience.
Beautifully said. And something that keeps popping into my head is the idea of waiting until you feel ready. So many people are waiting for that confidence to do something or waiting for the confidence. Yeah, and
No, it's actually, yeah, you're right, Julianne, and I know you know this, but it's the other way around. You have to
exactly.
do to create the confidence. It's like, and
Mhm.
the other thing is, a really good place to start is with yourself.
Mhm.
Our brains are fascinating. We need to start by being accountable to ourselves. That is where the confidence starts growing. If you don't feel ready out in the big world with that confidence, start with yourself. Start with, hey, can I do what I said I was going to do? Can I make some goals for myself and prove to myself that I can be accountable to me? That's a beautiful way to start stacking those wins so we can get to feeling, wow, we are worth it. We're accountable to ourselves so we can be accountable to others too.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because if you are always breaking these promises to yourself, it's no wonder that you don't feel or you don't have that confidence because you don't trust yourself to follow through. You don't trust yourself to, yeah, I wouldn't have confidence either. And I know that for me, that has always been not so much anymore, but that used to be what the problem was.
Right, right. And we learned that. I think something that I thank my parents for a lot of things. I learned some amazing things. I have wonderful, amazing parents. My mom was always very, what's the word? On time, prompt. And she taught me that from a young age. You are always on time. Well, meaning early, right? You show up 5, 10 minutes before. You show that people can rely on you, that they can trust you. And for me, I think that was a big piece of what helped me build my confidence. Because I know, and part of my story is to not to discount myself. I am a wonderful performer, right? But I was never a fantastic technician. I wasn't the best
Mm.
dancer in the room. I wasn't the best singer in the room. I wasn't the best actress in the room. But I was never without a job because directors, choreographers, musical directors, they all knew they could count on me. They knew I would show up and I would always do my best. And that, in the end, is way more important than being the best at what you do. People trust that. If they can trust you and they know you're reliable and that you always come with the best that you have, they
Mhm.
will give you time and time and again, they'll give you the opportunities.
I think that's a really valid point because I mean, look at the entertainment industry. For example, now there's so many fabulous actors, singers, performers that aren't famous, but they are so good. And it's not always the craft, the technical aspect of it that makes a person famous or a star or successful in their field. And it's like if you can't be consistent,
Yeah.
consistency is key. Oh my goodness, yes, yeah, it'd be great if you guys show up.
Yes, and you just sparked something else, Julianne, and this is actually really what I'm passionate about teaching people and what I want everyone to know. There's always that one person that'll walk into a room and you notice them right away.
Mm-hmm.
You go, oh, that person was born with that special something, that X factor. You know what? We all have that, but we haven't all learned how to activate it and how to use it. And I get so excited when I talk about that because it really is an energy. It's a way of being. It's a way of showing up. And every one of us have that inside of us. And if we know how to bring that out, if we can trust that and believe in it, we all have that thing. And that is when we say, oh, that person is such a great performer or actress, or they're famous because they have that special something. You also have that.
I think that's really important that you say that, because a lot of people think that only certain people get to have the Zazazoo or whatever. Not everybody.
Pizzazz, right?
Yes, and it's not always coming in with jazz hands and high kicks and like, look at me. It's just you can feel when somebody enters the room. Mother Teresa had that, so I
always say that quiet confidence is sometimes way more powerful than the ta-da.
Yeah, that's not always confidence either. That's more look at me. It doesn't mean, it doesn't always translate to confidence. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't always translate to confidence.
No, not always.
Yeah, no, I love that. But on that note, it is time for us to go to a commercial break. So we're going to be back in just a minute, Miss Vanessa. For those of you who are watching us live, thank you so much for joining us. And as I mentioned, it is commercial time. So we'll be right back after these messages.
Are you someone who is struggling to move forward because you suffered a loss? Maybe you're even finding it difficult to complete the most basic tasks. Are you looking for a way to start enjoying life again without feeling guilty or the resistance to do so? Spiritual life coach Sarah Stockham saw a need for people who haven't learned how to grieve without putting their entire lives on pause. And so she created a program that solves this issue called Choosing Life Right Now. This program is simple and you can do it on your own. If you are ready to learn how to feel your grief while still being able to smile, to honor the sacredness of what took place as a loss, and yet still continue to live with joy, and if you'd like to take care of your whole being with grace and love, then I'd like to invite you to experience her new program called Choosing Life Right Now. Sarah is currently offering her program for the promotional price of $77, but it won't stay at this price for long. To learn more, check out her website. The address is on the screen.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, my name is Julianne Meyer, and I'm the host of Own Your Wellness. And today's guest is Vanessa Raymond. Let's bring her back. Hello, Vanessa. Welcome back.
Thank you, Julianne.
So I am excited because you have an event coming up soon. And for those of you who are watching, you guys are the first ones to hear about this. So this is really cool. Sneak peek, sneak peek. So would you mind telling us a little bit about Attraction Retreats?
Absolutely. So this one is called the Health, Wealth, and Success Attraction Retreat. Think about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, you know, everything that I teach is really about embodiment, about a way of being, about a way of showing up. And that energy that we show up with is the catalyst for everything that we create in our lives, everything that we attract in our lives. And my beautiful partner, friend, who's doing this retreat with me, Dawn Livingston, the two of us are facilitating. She is an energy worker. She works with people on clearing energies, limiting beliefs, whatever it is that stands in our way, those blocks. And then I really, really work with everybody, work with you on being a billboard for your business, for your life that you can be really proud of, and attracting the things into your life that you really desire. I know the law of attraction has kind of become such a cliche, really. But when we really understand embodiment and we really understand, this is really for the women. It's a women's retreat. It's really for the woman who feels overwhelmed, overworked, who doesn't find enough time in the day. I know we all have that feeling sometimes. Can the day just be longer? We really want you to do something for yourself. Come and gather yourself, and we are going to give you the most amazing tools you can take home with you that you can use on a daily basis to help you thrive and prosper, and tools to help you with that anxiety and the stress that you might be feeling. As women, we all have so many responsibilities. Children, husbands, homes, businesses, a bunch of us, we're all like, a lot of us are small business owners, entrepreneurs, or you may have a really stressful job, position in a company. It's for any of you who want to de-stress and learn some amazing tools, clear some blocks, and handle your anxiety, and then show up and be in that place of being where you want to be, so you can attract those things into your life.
I love it on so many different levels, because especially women, we tend to become human doings instead of human beings. And something you touched on that is so near and dear to my heart is the energy aspect of it, because a lot of people don't realize that absolutely everything in this universe is started in energy form first. In fact, we're still energy. We're just in a more visible energy form. Like right now we're in these bodies, for example.
Right.
So absolutely everything starts in energy first. And if you can get that right, then the other stuff, the doing part, first of all, it's not as hard, it's not as stressful. It becomes a lot more in flow, which I love.
Right.
And then, or you could try and do it backward and try and just do all this stuff, but you're never, if you don't have that energy right, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Look, I've learned too. I've had my challenges. When you're living in a space of stress, anxiety, lack, those are the things you're keeping drawing to yourself more and more and more. And it's such a difficult downward spiral to just step out of by yourself. So that was one of the reasons I was passionate about creating these retreats, because for me, I know the value of, we're going to do movement, we're going to do creative things, and we're going to learn some really, really amazing tools. And for me, it's so important that everybody goes home with things they can implement right away. It's not airy fairy, it's practical stuff that you can implement in your life. And as you say, Julianne, take on that energy of ease, the energy of abundance, the energy of success. If we show up in success, it creates so many amazing things. Doesn't matter whether it's in your relationships or in your spiritual life or at work, in your business, in your professional life. You can really, really create so much easier when you're in that energy. And we want to show you how to get yourself into that energy, get rid of all those limiting beliefs, the things that hold us back, the things that we grew up with and learned along the way, but we don't really know how to shed those paradigms. And so we want to help you create those new habits and new paradigms that makes everything easier and more joyful.
Exactly. We need more joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Life is fun. We need to have more fun.
Exactly. So what I'm hearing you say is, it's not airy fairy. Is that how you said it? And I love that you said that, because a lot of people, as soon as they hear that word energy, they're like, oh, but there's the science behind it. It's not woo woo per se. And what I'm hearing you say is that you might be talking about that, but you're going to be walking away with skills. You're going to be walking away with the ability to create, the ability to do these things for yourself instead of just talking about it. Because, it's all fine and dandy to know what a paradigm is, but do you know how to shift it?
Right. In the end, that is the thing. We all know the theory behind it all.
Exactly.
But really, really getting in touch with that part of yourself and understanding what it takes to change those paradigms. That is what we're going to support you in and give you the tools to actually do that. And just FYI, we will be offering support after the retreat too. I find so often you go to a conference or you go to a retreat or you go to a training, you learn all this amazing stuff and you're so excited. And then you go home and you step back into your humdrum of everyday life, your old routine, and you're not making the changes. So we want to create that platform where we give you the deep dive and say 2-day retreats, only 2 days, 1 night. And then we give you the support to continue growing and learning and improving, all of that.
I like that. Because once that high wears off, then the normal everyday to-day things come creeping back in, and the enthusiasm doesn't last in that respect. You have to keep it going. And a lot of people don't know how, or they don't know how to plug back in. So I love that you offer that support so people can plug back in.
Right.
That's amazing.
Very exciting.
So speaking of you in particular, I also want people to have a chance to get to know you a little bit better. So let's pop up. This is for Instagram, right? Yeah. So they can find you also on Facebook, Vanessa Raymond as well. So I would love for people to check you out, because you always have the most fun stuff.
Well, I try to mix it up. I have a beautiful family. I love family time. I love sharing that with my audience, my friends. Most of my friends, not most, but a good part of my friends and family are back in South Africa. So sharing on Facebook is really how I share with my family and my friends. So I'm not always all business. I'm not always all, I love enjoying life. I love sharing that with everyone. But I'm also really passionate about all these different facets that I'm involved in. I'm passionate about health and fitness and wellness and confidence and helping health and wellness professionals grow their businesses. I love educating. I love teaching. And so please come and check it out and join me.
I like it. I like it so much. Something that I've been thinking about since you said it is you mentioned the word wealth. And a lot of people think, I don't know, there's a lot of ideas behind money that might not necessarily be positive, or it's got sort of this bad connotation. But to me personally, I feel like wealth is part of wellness.
I was just going to say, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, what are your thoughts?
Wealth to me is so much more than just money.
Mhm.
Wealth is one very tiny little, money is one tiny little part of wealth. Yes, we think of money when we think of wealth because, well, it's nice not to have to worry about the bills and not to worry about, doing things and
Mhm.
having enough to be able to do the things you want to do and buy the things you want to buy. But there's wealth in having amazing relationships with friends, family, children. There's wealth in being healthy. What do we have if we don't have our health? All the money in the world doesn't mean anything if you can't do things with it, if you
Mhm.
can't spend time and go do the things that we need to be healthy for. Like I said, relationships, money, and our health. Those three things I think is really what brings it all together. The word wealth, spirituality, being in
Mhm.
touch with what it is you believe, what is your purpose in life, what gets you up in the morning, what makes you thrive, what lights you up. And these are all things that I see as part of my wealth. That's actually kind of part of the wealth mindset I had to work on because money was never important to me. It was always about all these other things, right? Helping people, being happy, doing what I love doing, living my passion. And so I had to actually work on the money piece. I had to go, okay, so why is money important? What's my relationship with money? And how can I draw that more of that into my life? So I think it's very important. Balance is always a big word. For me, having balance in your life, you can't just focus on one thing and think wealth is just money. Money
Mhm.
is important, but so is everything else. We need to have balance in every area of our lives.
It is important. And I just feel like with money, if you're a miserable person, money's not going to make you less miserable. But at least you'll have a house to live in and food on your table. I mean, these are all super important things too. But like you said, wealth is so much more than just the money aspect of it. I completely 100% agree with that. And there's just so much more to it. Like if you're not enjoying any part of your life,
The money doesn't mean much.
yeah, exactly. If you're just constantly working in a job that you absolutely hate because you make 6 or 7 figures a year, how is that? Is that how you
Well,
want to spend your time on earth?
and inevitably, that's also going to affect your health eventually.
Exactly.
Because if we're not happy, if we don't feel fulfilled, then we're going to get sick
Yep.
in some way or another, right?
Exactly.
Not always a sniffly nose, or it doesn't have to be as horrible as having a terminal disease, but in some way or another, if you're not emotionally and mentally, emotionally feeding your body, if you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to show up in your health. It's going to show up in your life. And then, also the money will eventually go away too, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly. There's a book called The Body Keeps a Score, and I think this is from that, but we keep our issues in our tissues.
Yes, we do.
Love that.
It is so real. It is so
It
real.
really is. It
That's also
absolutely.
why it's so important to have a healthy lifestyle as far as what do we put in our bodies? Oh,
Mhm.
I know my husband's going, what's she talking about? I love sugar, right? But again, balance, 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 balance. Sure, I love sugar, but I also do the greens and I do the protein and I do the.
Mhm.
My dad always said, if there's something in your diet that you're not eating, it's going to show up somewhere in your life. So food.
Yes.
And then, of course, exercise. Doesn't matter what you choose. There's so many ways you can stay active, and just being active, eating healthy, that also contributes to, our mindset, to our joy, to our happiness, and to our wealth mindset also.
Absolutely. No, it's true. Yeah, it does. I just can't believe, people tend to forget that we feed our minds, we have to feed our souls. All of those things, they go into our body. I can't remember, I had somebody on the show not that long ago, and we're talking about how light goes in through the skin. And that's why it's so important to have your room dark at night when you're sleeping, because the light actually comes into your skin. That's why it's important to be in a dark room, because it tells your body it's time to rest. So it's kind of interesting that we just tend to think of food as what we put in our mouth.
Right. You have to literally feed every part of who you are. Like you
Mhm.
said, you feed your body, but you also feed your soul and you feed
Mhm.
your mind. That brings me back to, I was able to go home to South Africa over Christmas. And when I got back here, everyone was like, oh, how was that? And the only words I had was soul food.
Mm.
Soul food for me. I needed it so much more than I knew, because I got to spend time with my family. It grounded me, brought me back to who I am and where I'm from, and
Mhm.
what my life is about. And that is soul food. And so many times we neglect that part of who we are because we're on that hamster wheel, right?
Mhm.
Just doing everyday stuff, and we forget to slow down, sit back, and do something for ourselves that feeds our soul.
Exactly. We get stuck in doing. And all of a sudden, okay, I need to fold my laundry. I need to do the dishes. It's like we get stuck in these tasks instead of being. And I think that's part of the reason why sometimes now I just want to sit and just not do anything and just sit. And then to me, that's, for the longest time, it felt self indulgent. But now I realize I need that just to be good.
It's actually a necessity,
Hmm.
especially in today's world. I know you always hear this, but with social media, with us being connected all the time, you are never, ever, ever just alone
Hmm.
thinking no thoughts, right? Just being, just being. And that's why I'm so passionate and excited about this retreat, bringing all of us back to just being for a moment, right? Being for 2 days, and then learning how to implement that in our lives on a regular basis. Get back to who we are, not what we're trying to be for everybody else.
I love that. Put down the mask for a minute. So I want to pop up your website again as well. What can people find when they visit here?
Basically, the website is a hub where you can get hold of me if you'd like to connect with me, but also my services. So I am a confidence coach. I work one-on-one with my clients. I have an accountability mastermind that I run every Monday. So you'll find information there on that. And I have two programs that I'm very passionate about. The Show Up program, where I really, really help entrepreneurs and speakers show up as the very best version of themselves. I also have Speak Up and Level Up. I love working with speakers. I like to call myself a speaker director. I performed my whole life and I know the stage. I know the stage and I know what it takes to draw your audience in. And that is really a specialty of mine. And then last but not least, I have my Victory Factor program, which if you are interested in empowering other people, I have a self-image coaching certification that I teach. You can become certified to basically do what I do, become a self-image and confidence coach, and help people, empower them, and help them create the lives they desire.
I like the word create instead of just letting it happen or hoping that things change or come your way. I find a lot of people hope that things will come their way without necessarily knowing that they can create it for themselves.
That's the thing. That's, for me, the biggest thing is awareness. Bringing people's awareness back to how much power they have in their own lives. It's a choice. And if you understand how the body and mind work together, it makes that whole creation process so much easier.
It does. It definitely does make it easier. And I like that idea too. I mean, I just want to go back to the idea of outside in.
For a lot of people, with me being from a physical background, look, I teach the mindset stuff. I go into doing all the self-talk, the affirmation, all that stuff that we all know about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the piece that is often forgotten or neglected is the body piece. Understanding how your demeanor, the way you carry your body, the energy you walk around with affects your mental, emotional state. Also, that you have the power to show up in a way that attracts people. It's creating a magnetizing you, that it's not being someone else.
Mm.
It's simply really tapping into who you really are and attracting your people, your kind, the people that come to you, and also knowing that you have power as far as who you attract.
Yes.
Because sometimes we are not conscious. We live unconsciously. And so we unconsciously attract whatever, right? But the way in which you are being, the way in which you show up, the energy you show up with is going to affect who you attract into your life, what you attract into your life. And the physical being, a lot of us feel like we have more control over that than we do over our mental, emotional. So when you master marrying the physical with the mental, emotional, you're unstoppable.
Absolutely. Absolutely unstoppable. And I like the idea too of that. It's not you're putting on a show, it's that you're being you and you're unleashing you.
Right. Step into your own power.
Yeah.
Understand the power that you have as far as what you put out, because what you put out is what you're going to draw back into you. And sometimes we just don't realize what we're putting out. Sometimes we have to take a hard look at ourselves in the mirror and go, what is it I've been projecting?
Yes.
What is it others are perceiving from me when they're around me? It might not even be what you truly are, but because of habits that you've learned, we all have habits, physical habits that we created that can be perceived in a better than likely way, and we don't even know we're doing it. So when we raise that awareness, we have the power to change that and create those habits and those mannerisms that are attractive, that are confident. Everybody loves being in the presence of someone who knows themselves and that can stand in their power and be confident.
Amen to that. On that note, that is actually all the time we have. I wasn't paying close enough attention to the clock. I was so interested in what you were saying. But anyway, Vanessa, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I love all the nuggets of wisdom that you shared with us. And I'm hoping that a lot of people come. Oh, I know. Hopefully it won't be overcrowded at your retreat. It's going to be awesome.
And it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. And thank you to everyone who's listening.
Thank you, Vanessa. We'll see you again soon. And that is unfortunately all the time that we have for today. So we will be back on my birthday on Thursday. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week and we will see you soon.